What if the reason money keeps slipping away is not because you are unlucky, not because you are lazy, and not because the world forgot you, but because every time you ask for more, your energy quietly says, I still don't have it. Think about that for a second. You say you want change, you say you want freedom, you say you want a breakthrough, but deep inside, your body is still waiting, still worried, still checking for proof. And that changes everything. Because life does not only answer the words you speak, it answers the state you live in. So stay with me, because what you hear next can shift the way you think about money, power, and possibility. Not next year, not someday, right now. There is a difference between hoping and knowing, a difference between wishing and declaring, a difference between asking life for permission and deciding that your new reality has already begun. And once that switch flips, something changes in the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you expect good things to find you. This is where it starts. Not with more struggle, not with more begging, but with a deeper decision, a cleaner signal, a stronger inner command. And if you really listen to this all the way through, you may never speak to your future the same way again. Maybe this has happened to you before. You made a vision board. You repeated affirmations. You tried to think positive. You whispered your wishes into the silence and waited for some kind of sign, some kind of opening, some kind of proof that things were finally moving. But days passed, weeks passed, sometimes months passed, and nothing seemed to change, or worse, something small went wrong, and it felt like reality was laughing at your effort. That is where many people stop. They decide none of this works. But the deeper truth is not that the process failed. The deeper truth is that most people have been using the wrong posture from the beginning. They ask from need. They speak from lack. They repeat beautiful words while their nervous system is still full of fear, and life responds to the stronger message every single time. That is why two people can say almost the same thing and get completely different results. One is speaking from pressure. The other is speaking from inner certainty. One is still waiting to be chosen. The other has already chosen. Listen closely, because this part matters. The shift is not mainly in the sentence, it is in the state behind the sentence. That is why empty affirmations often feel flat. The words may sound strong, but the energy behind them says, I don't believe this yet. And when that hidden signal is louder than your words, that hidden signal wins. The real problem is simple. Most people try to create abundance while still feeling the emotional shape of scarcity. They talk about wealth, but inside they feel tension. They say money comes easily, but their chest tightens when they pay a bill. They try to sound calm, but they are secretly measuring time, checking results and wondering if anything is happening at all. That mixed signal weakens everything. Life responds less to the sentence and more to the emotional charge carried inside it. This is why the old habit of asking keeps people stuck. Asking often sounds soft on the surface, but underneath it usually carries doubt. It carries waiting. It carries the feeling that something important is missing. And when you lead with that feeling, you keep feeding the experience of missing. That is why the shift from asking to commanding is so powerful. Commanding is not anger. It is not ego. It is not forcing the world. It is a quiet inner position. It is the moment you stop pleading with reality and start standing in a different relationship with it. You are no longer saying, I hope this comes to me. You are saying, this belongs in my life, and I am now available for it. Feel the difference. One contracts, the other opens. One keeps the future far away. The other pulls it into the present. And once you begin to understand this, you stop chasing louder techniques and start building a clearer inner frequency. Stay with me, because the next idea is where the whole script turns. Let's talk about the amount for a moment. A big number creates a strong emotional response. It stretches the mind. It wakes up desire. It forces you to notice what you really believe about yourself, your worth, and what feels possible. But the amount itself is not the deepest point. What you really want is what that amount represents. Freedom, space, relief, choice, calm, the ability to breathe without carrying silent pressure all day, the ability to help people you love without fear, the ability to stop making every decision from survival mode. That is the true emotional core. And when you connect to that core, instead of staring only at the number, your energy becomes stronger, cleaner, more believable. because now you are not obsessed with paper or digits. You are aligning with the feeling those digits symbolize. That matters more than most people realize. Life answers emotional meaning. If your focus stays on I need money, the signal is still need. But if your focus becomes I am entering freedom, I am stepping into peace, I am now available for a larger life, the signal changes completely. That is why some people create breakthroughs right after they stop gripping so hard. They stop worshipping the number and start embodying the inner world the number was meant to unlock. And once that happens, they move differently. Their voice softens, their posture changes, their decisions get cleaner. They stop acting like someone waiting at the door and start acting like someone who already belongs in the room. That is not fantasy. That is identity in motion. Now here is the core phrase, and it only works when you let it land in your body instead of just passing through your mouth. The phrase is simple. It is done. 3 short words, nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, but when spoken with real conviction, they create a powerful inner shift. Say those words and notice the difference between saying them like a script and saying them like a final decision. It is done. When those words are real, something inside settles. The racing mind slows down, the desperate energy weakens, the body stops leaning into the future and starts resting in a new sense of completion. That is the secret. These words are powerful, not because they are magic. They are powerful because they move you out of wanting and into knowing. They close the gap between desire and identity. They turn a future wish into a present state declaration. And that shift is everything. Most people keep abundance trapped in tomorrow. They say one day, soon, eventually, I hope, maybe. But it is done, changes the timing of your energy. It tells your mind and body that the inner agreement has already been made. It signals completion instead of pursuit. It says the order has been placed. The process is underway. The result is no longer being begged for. It is being received. And when that feeling becomes genuine, even for a few moments, your relationship with possibility changes. This is why I want you to stay fully present. Because if you truly catch this, you stop treating change like a distant event and start treating it like a state you can enter now. But there is something most people miss right after they say those words. They declare, it is done. And for a brief moment they feel powerful, calm, maybe even light. Then 5 minutes later, they check their account, check their messages, check reality, and panic because nothing visible has changed yet. That reaction cancels the state they just created. It is like planting a seed and then digging it up over and over to see whether it has started growing. That restless checking is not neutral. It sends a new message. It says, I still don't trust this. I still don't believe. I still think lack is more real than my declaration. And that is where many people interrupt their own momentum. The stronger path is different. After the declaration, your work is to hold the feeling of completion for longer. Not perfectly, just longer. To let your body become familiar with certainty. To stop rushing for evidence every few minutes. To stop making outer proof the ruler of your inner state. Because if your peace depends on instant evidence, then fear is still leading the process. And fear always wants more proof than peace does. Listen closely. The moment after the declaration matters almost as much as the declaration itself. Can you remain steady? Can you let the result breathe? Can you trust the movement before you can fully see it? That is where inner power grows. Not when everything is obvious, but when you can hold a new state before the old reality has fully released its grip. That is not passive. That is discipline at the emotional level, and it changes more than most people think. There is a practical way to live this, so it becomes more than a motivational moment. Think of it in 3 moves. First, command. Speak what you choose, as if the inner decision is already complete. Not I hope this works. Not maybe life will help me. Speak from completion. Speak from ownership. Speak from the version of you who is no longer negotiating with possibility. Second, align. Let your thoughts, your posture, your tone, and your small daily choices begin to match the reality you just claimed. Ask yourself, how would I move through today if the pressure was lifted, if support was already here, if freedom had already begun opening around me? Would I still speak from panic? Would I still shrink in ordinary moments? Would I still treat myself like someone standing outside the life I want? Alignment is not pretending to be rich while ignoring life. It is embodying the emotional pattern of the reality you are choosing before full physical proof appears. Third, permit. This is the part people forget. Permit the new reality to arrive without arguing with it. Permit yourself to receive without guilt. Permit the old fear to rise without obeying it. Permit life to surprise you. So many people command one thing and then block it with hidden resistance. They wonder, who am I to have this? What if I lose it? What will others think? What if it changes me? Those thoughts are not facts. They are old protection patterns. See them, thank them, then choose again. Command, align, permit. Keep it simple. Keep it clean. Keep it moving. Visualization becomes powerful when it is no longer just mental theater. Close your eyes and actually enter the moment. Not as a fantasy floating far away, but as a present scene. Imagine receiving the message, opening the email, seeing the number, feeling the rush of relief move through your body. Notice your hands, notice your breathing, notice the way your shoulders drop when the pressure finally leaves. Let the scene become real enough that your body starts reacting to it. That reaction matters, because the body does not only respond to events, it responds to vivid inner experience too. And when your body begins to feel what safety, freedom, and completion are like, your state changes. Your choices change, your perception changes. You start noticing possibilities you used to overlook because your system was too busy scanning for danger. This is why pairing visualization with the phrase "it is done" can be so strong. The image gives texture, the phrase gives finality, the feeling gives magnetism, and together they create a deeper imprint than words alone ever could. But remember this, the point is not to sit in a dream all day and avoid life. The point is to train your system into familiarity with the emotional world you want to live in. Once that familiarity grows, your outer behavior begins to support it naturally. You start replying differently. You start speaking differently. You stop reaching from panic. You begin acting from a steadier center. And what once felt impossible starts feeling closer, clearer, almost expected. That is when the inner blueprint begins turning into lived experience. This is where things speed up. So keep listening. The best time to plant this state is when your mind is soft and open, right after waking up, right before sleep. In those quiet edges of the day, speak the words gently but firmly. It is done. Not as a performance, not as a chant full of strain, as a calm decision. In the morning, let it be the first emotional signal you send into your day. Before the noise, before the pressure, before the old patterns fully wake up. That early state is powerful because the mind is less guarded, less argumentative, less busy defending the old story. At night, return to it again, but add gratitude. Not gratitude as a forced habit, gratitude as emotional acceptance. Thank life for what is already moving, even if you cannot see the full shape yet. This changes your signal from wanting to having, from reaching to receiving, and that shift is massive. Gratitude tells your body that the door is open. It tells your mind that support is not far away. It trains your attention to notice signs of movement instead of signs of failure. Over time, this rewires more than mood. It changes what you expect. It changes what you notice. It changes what you naturally allow. If you want to go deeper, write it down by hand. Write "it is done" 3 times. Then describe your life as if the breakthrough has already happened. Describe how you sleep, how you move, how you decide, how you help others, how your home feels, how your face feels when worry is no longer the background music of your day. Write it in the present. Make it real. Make it sensory. Let the page become proof of your inner agreement. Now let's bring this out of the mind and into real life, because the outer world still matters. Once you make the inner decision, watch for the next step, not the full staircase, just the next step, a new idea, a message, a call, a sudden urge to explore something you would normally ignore, a chance conversation that feels oddly timely. These are not always dramatic. Often they arrive quietly. That is why many people miss them. They are waiting for fireworks while life is offering breadcrumbs, but the process usually moves through small openings first. And when you respond to those openings, more become visible. This is where aligned action matters, not forced action, not panicked action, aligned action. action that comes from steadiness instead of desperation. There is a huge difference between running around because you are scared and moving because something inside feels guided. One tightens your system, the other expands it. So do something that matches the reality you claimed. Clean your space, like someone making room for more. Handle a small bill with respect instead of resentment. Walk with more presence. Speak with more clarity. Organize your work as if opportunity belongs there. These actions may look small, but they are powerful because they teach your body to cooperate with your declaration. They tell your deeper mind, I am not just saying words, I am beginning to live from them. That creates coherence, and coherence is what turns a nice idea into a lived pattern. Do not wait to feel perfect. Take one clean step, then another. Let movement confirm the state. There is another hidden accelerator that people overlook because it feels too simple. Joy, lightness, a clean, relaxed kind of trust. So many people approach change like a heavy job. They become tense, serious, pressured. They turn every desire into another problem to solve, and that weight creates resistance. But when you let joy into the process, something opens. Joy tells life that you are no longer trapped in fear. Joy tells your body that it is safe to soften. Joy tells your mind that the future is not a threat. This does not mean forcing fake positivity. It does not mean pretending nothing hurts. It means remembering that the state of relaxed confidence is far more magnetic than the state of desperate effort. Think about the difference in your body between I have to make this happen or everything falls apart and I know things are moving so I can breathe while I participate. One is tight, the other is open. One makes you chase, the other helps you attract. That is why some people seem lucky. Often it is not luck at all. It is calm expectation. It is the quiet energy of someone who no longer begs reality to notice them. They carry a settled kind of confidence. They are available to opportunity because their state is not full of static. Their signal is clean. Their pace is steady. Their attention is open. If you want to strengthen your practice, add more ease, more humor, more moments where you remember that your future is not built only in struggle. Sometimes the breakthrough comes faster when you stop squeezing so hard and start allowing more space for life to meet you. One of the biggest blocks is the old belief that abundance is limited, that if more comes to you then less must be left for someone else. That belief quietly creates guilt, and guilt weakens receiving. It makes people shrink just as expansion begins. But abundance does not move like a tiny fixed pie with only a few slices. Opportunity grows where energy, clarity, service and readiness meet. When your life expands, you often become more generous, more useful, more resourced, more able to support others. So stop treating your desire for a larger life as something shameful. Stop acting like freedom must be earned through suffering. Stop believing struggle is the only honest path. That old script has exhausted enough people already. A better script is this: you are allowed to receive, allowed to grow, allowed to become someone whose inner world is no longer ruled by fear. And the deeper truth is that saying it is done is not about convincing some force outside you. It is about reconditioning the force inside you. It is about teaching your own mind, your own body, your own patterns to accept a larger reality. Once that acceptance becomes real, you notice more, choose better, move cleaner, and stop sabotaging every opening with doubt. Your outer life starts reflecting the inner permission you finally gave yourself. That is why this practice matters. It is not empty talk. It is not passive wishing dressed up in stronger words. It is identity work, emotional work, attention work. And when those levels begin to align, change stops feeling random. It starts feeling natural. It starts feeling like the result of a deeper order finally being honored. So here is the closing truth, and I want it to land. You do not need to spend your life begging for a different future. You do not need to live as if power exists somewhere outside you, waiting to judge whether you are worthy. You can choose a different posture now. You can stop asking from fear and start declaring from inner steadiness. You can stop treating your desires like impossible dreams and start treating them like realities that require alignment, patience, and clean participation. Say the words, feel them, let them settle deeper than motivation. It is done. Then live like those words meant something. Wake up with them, sleep with them, write with them, breathe with them. Follow the small signals that appear after them. Protect the state they create. When doubt rises, do not panic. Return. When fear speaks, do not obey automatically. Return. When the old story tries to pull you back into waiting, return again. This is how a new identity is built. Not in one dramatic performance, but through repeated inner decisions that become your new normal. And one day you will notice that your energy has changed before the full evidence arrives. Then your choices will change. Then your world will begin to answer that change. This is your reminder. You were not made to live in endless hesitation. You were not made to whisper your life away. Stand taller, breathe deeper, choose clearly, speak with calm certainty. Let your signal become stronger than your fear. Let your state become stronger than your history. And from this moment on, when you think about the life you are calling in, do not ask like it is far away. Say it like it has already begun. It is done.